How you doing, buddy?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good, man. How's it going?
I'm doing great. It's getting better each and every single day.
Good, good, good.
What you been up to?
Nothing, just busy really. Just currently stuck in London with the family under lockdown. Just waiting for things to calm down really, and just been busy doing stuff online. I do this boot camp in Las Vegas. I was supposed to
Hmm.
do one this month, but I decided to do it online as an 8-week course, and it went really well. So yeah, it's pretty good.
Oh wow, wait a minute. Hold on. See something. Shit. Uh, there we go. Okay, can you hear me good?
Yeah, I can hear you, man.
Alrighty. Yeah, I told a great friend of mine about you, and he went to your website, and he was very impressed by what you're doing in entrepreneurial space with joint ventures.
Yes, yes,
And
right, right.
his name is Gordon Bazar, and he generates millions in the private equity industry.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I've heard of him. Name rings a bell. Yeah,
yes, and he did a lot of work with Tony Robbins and Jay Abraham.
yeah,
So he was very impressed with what you're doing with the joint venturing world. And he wanted to see how y'all can, collaborate and create some synergy together.
yeah. Sure, yeah, definitely. Yeah, make the connection. I'll be happy to talk to him.
Okay, all righty. He's in California, so once I get off this interview, I'll let him know, and then I'll see some dates and times, and we can set it up with a conference call.
Thanks, man. Cheers. What have you been up to?
Just been I just been grinding, just just keep just pushing the interviews and just keep building my business. That's pretty much what I've been doing with
Good, good.
Jay Abraham, and actually I know you wrote a book with Jay Conrad Levinson. I interviewed
Yeah,
him, but unfortunately, he passed away. But
yeah. 2014. Yeah, it just
yeah,
when we finished when we finished the book, a couple of weeks after that, he passed away. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I was devastated when that happened.
Yeah,
Yeah, so and you calling in from London?
yeah. I'm currently stuck in London at the moment. So
Okay. All righty. Are you ready to rock and roll?
yeah, let's do it, man.
All righty. Now, do you still do the marketers cruise? You still do that?
No, I haven't done that for years, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. To be
Yeah, I
honest with
heard.
you, I just went on one or two, and then I connected with everyone, so I know everyone now, So I didn't really need to go back. So
Right, absolutely. I heard that Mike Hussein, I heard he retired a little bit from what I'm hearing.
yeah, I think he has. I think he's semi-retired like me. I mean, he does a little bit here and there, So
Oh wow. Wow. Okay. All righty. Okay, here we go. Good morning, everyone. This is Arthur Robinson Jr. I'm the creator of PowerfulInterviews.com. And today I have another special interview for each and every one of you. Today I have a wonderful person on the show. He's a great friend of mine. His name is Sohail Kung. For those that don't know Sohail, let me explain to each and every one of you about this incredible, phenomenal man. Sohail Kung, he specializes in how to make seven figures by doing joint venture partnering. And he's also the best-selling author of his phenomenal book that he wrote with the great J. Conrad Levinston. And the book is called guerrilla marketing and joint ventures, $1 million partner strategies for growing any business in any economy. And that is an awesome, impressive resume. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome the one, the only, the powerful Sohail Kung to the show.
Thank you, Arthur. Thank you for having me. What a great intro. Thank you. I'm humbled.
Well, I'd like to thank you, Sohail, for taking time out of your busy schedule to educate me and the audience worldwide about the power of joint venture marketing and the power of joint venture partnering. I gladly appreciate it.
Thank you.
To everyone that's listening, I highly recommend go and get your pen and your pad right now. My great friend Sohail Kung is going to break down layman's terms on how you can make money by doing the correct joint venture partnering. Is that correct, Sohail?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, 100%.
Well, I'd like to know, and can you explain to the audience in layman's terms, who is the phenomenal Sohail Kung? How long you been in your powerful industry, and what is your expertise?
Sure. Well, I'll do the short version. So a bit background to myself. I built a traditional e-learning company many years ago to 8 figures, just using joint ventures, basically reaching out to other companies, other even competitors, and getting them to promote our courses to their audience, to their customers. And I built that business up to 8 figures, and then I sold a majority stake in 2006 to 150 million IT group. In 2008, during the Great Recession, that IT group went bust, and I lost everything. I went from being a multi-millionaire to totally broke in a very short space of time. And then in 2009, I set myself a challenge to make $1 billion in 12 months, and I did it in 30 days by closing a $1.5 million JV deal, which was my first big deal I closed back in 2009. And that basically put me on the stage as the joint venture expert. And then in 2017, actually not too long ago, I sold my JV consulting business and my training business for 8 figures. Took a year off, literally retired, got bored, came back again, and only beginning of this year, I basically bought back the IP rights to all my JV training. Why? Because there's nobody else out there doing it at the level that I do. I mean, the only person at the moment who's still doing it is actually one of my mentors, Jay Abraham. But there's no one else doing it at the level that I do. So I wanted to come back and basically create a legacy and get everyone excited about how to use joint ventures and joint venture partnering, and also joint venture brokering. As you know, I train a team of joint venture brokers 3 or 4 times a year in Las Vegas. I have a boot camp I do there, 3 days boot camp training certified joint venture brokers. And my goal has always been to spread the word and get it more out there. And today I've got over, a couple of hundred joint venture brokers trained around the world doing what I do. And life is great. And also another thing, joint ventures are actually recession proof. So during the ups and downs of the economy, especially as we go through, anyone can do joint ventures. It is basically a no-cost marketing strategy. It doesn't cost you anything up front. And in moments when the economy is in a downturn, that's the biggest opportunity to start reaching out to companies, to partner with companies and collaborate with companies and do more joint ventures.
So over the years, you had to keep reinventing yourself with joint venture marketing.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the underlying foundation for joint ventures is always the same. But what you find is that it applies to every and each individual industry. So people always ask me, will joint ventures work for my business? And the answer is always going to be yes. There's always someone that's going to be prepared to partner with you to promote your product or service to their customers. And that is what a typical joint venture looks like.
Wow. Now, how can people crack the code by making 7 figures in 30 days by doing the right joint venture partnering?
Okay, so that all comes down to the opportunity, right? So one of the things that I do and I teach is how to develop the joint venture mindset. And once you understand how joint ventures work and you understand how powerful joint ventures are, what happens is you have a shift in your mindset and your belief, and you start to see more opportunities. One of the greatest opportunities right now, where we are in this current economic situation, is there's a lot of companies that are basically struggling to make money. Okay, they're struggling to move forward, and they have loyal customers that have spent money with them. One of the biggest opportunities I see right now is tapping into those customers of businesses and offering them complementary products, right? Offering them your products, for example, or even as a broker, going out, finding businesses and saying, hey, I will show you a way to make more money from existing customers using the power of joint ventures. And that is basically the biggest opportunity I see happening right now.
Mm. So basically, I can have a product or a service that provides value. And if you have a starving market that wants that value, I could joint venture partner with you. And then we can basically create a lot of value for your audience and then get compensated very well for that.
And there's no risk up front. Nobody's taking a risk, because you basically, if you partner with another company and you give your product or service of value and let them promote it to their customers, there is no cost up front to you. The actual company you partner with, they will already have existing marketing in place, so there's no increase in overheads either. So it's a win-win situation for both parties involved in that joint venture partnership.
Mm. Okay, so let's say, for example, I have business programs that's in the private equity space where, people are eager to learn, they want to buy and sell businesses. So if I partner with you and we, come to a reasonable price point, how would that work with us collaborating together and marketing that product to that specific audience?
Well, first of all, it comes due diligence. So if you had a program that would provide that, I would have to make sure that that program provides two things. One is it's satisfied clients with testimonials, and number two is that program creates results. So when you're being approached as a JV partner by someone else who wants you to promote their product or service, make sure that it covers that due diligence points. Make sure that that product or service, or even that program or that information product, creates results. Okay, because if you know that it does what it's supposed to do, then when you promote it to your own customers and to your buyers, you know that value will be transferable very, very easy. So that's the first step. The first stage is to do that. Second step is to negotiate basically a commission structure. How would that work? Now, normally there is a 50-50 split. Traditionally, a client with a product or service that goes to another partner and says, hey, could you promote my product or service to your customers, because we share the same customer base. Those are the kind of customers that I'm after. So instead of going out and spending money on Facebook ads, Google ads, advertising, newspapers, direct mail, I would rather approach you because you have those customers that I'm after. And in return for you promoting to those customers, I'm prepared to give you a percentage of the sales that I made from that campaign or from that deal. Now, normally it's a 50-50 split. That's how traditionally it works. But if you really want to get JV partners on board, try and put yourself in their shoes. What's in it for them? Give them a slightly bigger piece of the pie, because at the end of the day, they're the ones that are doing everything. They're doing all the hard work to bring in the sales. They're managing the customers, and you're basically doing nothing. You're just basically giving them access to that product or service that they're actually going to go and sell for you. So I would suggest a 60-40 split. 60% to the JV partner to keep them happy, so they will carry on promoting your product or service, and 40% to yourself, because that's just one deal. If that one deal goes ahead and you both make money from that, you can go to someone else and say, hey, we did a campaign, we did a JV with one of your competitors or a company that you know in the same space, and these were the results, and we'd like to do one with you now. And then basically it's unlimited. You can go to unlimited JV partners, unlimited companies, and reapply the same joint venture concept, joint venture campaign across the board. So that is preliminarily how a textbook joint venture partnership works.
Mm. Now, with the joint venture partnership, is it like, non-disclosure agreements, or is it like joint venture contracts that you have to sign in regards to compensation?
Definitely two things. One, first of all, is if you are revealing a sales process, or if you're revealing a particular IP, then yes, have an NDA in place, a non-disclosure, which protects that. If that's the latter and that's not involved in the deal, then there's no need for a non-disclosure. When it comes to agreements, I say definitely yes. I've done agreements and deals on handshakes in the past, and I've also, like most people in industries, I've suffered at the hands of people basically who have taken advantage of a situation because I didn't have an agreement or contract in place. It was difficult. So from nowadays when I do a deal, I definitely use a contract. It doesn't have to be a lengthy contract. It can be a letter of agreement. as long as both parties know what's been agreed and it's in writing, I think you have to go forward and do that. And when you're dealing with companies, it's less of a threat. When you're dealing with individuals, it's more likely that you'll have issues if you don't have an agreement in place.
Wow. Now, can you explain to the audience or give an example of one of your clients where you helped them and they actually made, maybe 5 or 6 or 7 figures with their own joint venture partnering deal?
I've got quite a few. I mean, I've got a lot of brokers that I've trained. One of my brokers, actually, I've got 2 brokers who've done 7-figure deals. So let's start from there and we work our way down. So I've got one broker who basically came onto one of my programs, and he's based in Ireland. And he basically did a deal where he took one company, which was an automotive company over in Asia, and he partnered them with actually Microsoft based in Ireland. And from that one deal, they made just over $1.5 million with that deal, that one deal, okay, which is just one contract. I've got another client, actually another student, one of my joint venture brokers, who did a deal and basically in the solar industry, okay? And what they did was very, 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 very clever. He basically went to a person who had commercial premises. They had a large site that was being unused. And basically he leveraged that site. He didn't own the site. He wasn't the owner of it. He basically leveraged that site and relicensed that site into a solar business and a solar farm, which basically they built and they sold. And his stake in that was worth $3 million. So he didn't even own it. So you can leverage other people's assets as a broker, for example, in a joint venture deal and actually walk away with making money. Several clients that I'm working with right now, a lot of them basically they looking for partners that they can partner with on LinkedIn, for example. So one of the things that we do a lot of is we do an introduction service. So we go onto LinkedIn and we make introductions and appointments for clients. And that gives them the ability to partner with companies that they could never have partnered with before. No upfront cost in marketing, which makes them an easy 6 figures plus. Most of my clients, I'd say I've done 6 figures and 7. And most of my brokers have done 7-figure deals and 6-figure deals also. I'll give you an example of 2 clients. One client basically based out in Las Vegas, a reputation management company. They did a similar thing. They basically partnered with a radio station, and the radio station allowed them to air ads on radio in exchange basically for a commission on fees on sales of their service. And that resulted them in doing just over, I think it was $500,000 just on that deal. So there's loads of really creative things you can do using the power of joint ventures and joint venture brokering.
So they did $500,000 on that deal alone.
Yes, alone, yeah.
Now, when you reach that level of success with doing joint venture partnering, do them partnerships just keep growing and growing where they keep doing deals? Or how does that work? Is it just a one-time deal, or they just keep, doing business together?
It really depends. It depends on the relationship you build with the company. So for me, for example, I do a lot of deals as examples to my students and my clients. So I document them as case studies. So that's the way I tend to work. A lot of my students, they do a similar thing, but they do it in the same industry. So they'll do one deal with a company, for example. Most of the deals, we have a 12-month agreement. And if the company wants to extend after 12 months, we do that. Some of my students have a lifetime agreement in place where they set up a deal and they take the recurring income from that because they actually put that joint venture partnership together and that deal together. But what I tend to see most of the times is most of my students and even some of my clients, they'll do one deal with a company and then they'll take that deal or the campaign they've created and they'll go over to another company in the same industry again and again and again. But like I said, there's no reason why you can't have deals in place where you can have a lifetime agreement where you keep getting the recurring income from a deal that you've put together.
So you can create, residual income by doing, joint venture partnering over and over and over again. So basically you're repeating the same process that's successful.
Correct. And because it's a campaign, that campaign can be implemented again, again, and again. But you own that campaign because as the joint venture broker, for example, you own, that is basically your license to that campaign that you created for this particular client.
So joint venture partnering is basically the power of leverage.
Always has been, always will be. It's a power of leverage, and it's the opportunity to own an asset whether it's a customer database or whether it's a building, without actually being the ownership of that building. So you can have the rights, you can own that asset without actually having the responsibility of being the actual owner of that asset, whether it's a database, whether it's a building, or whether it's any sort of asset.
Mm. Now, Sohail, you travel all over the world and you educate entrepreneurs and business owners about how they can make some real money by joint venture partnering. Now, take us way back. Who was Sohail Khan when he was 13, 14? Like, was you always entrepreneurial? Was your mom and dad entrepreneurial? Or did you build your mindset over a period of time as you got older?
Good question. I was pretty much a geek when I was younger. I was very good at maths. I was very academic. And I'd say the entrepreneurial bug didn't really hit me until probably later in my life, because I was very studious. I would study very, very hard. And the only time uh, I've ever got the entrepreneurial mindset is when I started to see other people, and I started to get out of my own world, basically, and see what other people were doing around the world. And I was really good at helping people do things. So for me, it was like I have a skill, and I was basically told that. And then I originally trained as an accountant, as a CPA. That was my original job. But I didn't like it at all. I spent most of my time in a tax division working on numbers, and I was good at numbers, but there was always something missing. And a few conversations I had with other people, actually with the actual owner, one of the owners of the accountancy firm that I worked in, really inspired me to go out and create my own entrepreneurial world, and go out and create my own business. And that's where it all started from for me.
Now, are you originally from London?
Yeah, originally from the UK, yes.
Wow. Now, how's the economy in London? Is it different from over in the States in regards to joint venture marketing? Like, do people get it more over in London than the United States? Or is it a collaboration of both where the people in the United States understands joint venture marketing as well as the people in London understands joint venture marketing?
That's a great question. And this is why 90% of my business is done in the US, because it's a different mindset. And the thing with us Brits is we're very reserved. So we take longer to make decisions. We have an entrepreneurial mindset, but I would say in the US it's stronger than we have here in the UK. And from what I've seen, and I think you guys over in the US are great action takers, whereas us guys, us Brits, I've been fortunate enough to have mentors who are US based. So I've learned from a lot of people in the US, very successful people. But a lot of the Brits have the mentality where before getting started, they want to ask more questions. They want to find out if this thing will work. They're just more reserved. Whereas in the US, you guys are like, let's get started yesterday. We're in to go. Let's get started yesterday. So I think a lot of the influence of the entrepreneurial stage is drawn from the US. I mean, people like Elon Musk, for example, people like that inspire a lot of us entrepreneurs wherever we are around the world. Now, the joint venture concept works anywhere in the world. So I've done joint ventures all over the world. You name it, I've done them. So I've never had an issue with creating joint ventures, but it's only in the US that I can see the speed at which things get done when it comes to things like business. So yeah, I'd say definitely you guys are way ahead when it comes to that.
Now, you mentioned that creative word speed, and I love the speed of implementation. So knowledge is not power. The implementation of knowledge, that's what makes it become powerful. From your experience, have you come across clients where they are unsuccessful, but then they develop that skill set and the mindset where their paradigm shifts and they say, okay, well, this is the path I need to go on to be successful in the realm of joint venture partnering?
I think a lot of my students go through that. A lot of my clients go through that. Once once they get basically into my world of joint venture partnerships and they go through my training and the concepts and the mindset, and the mindset basically shifts and their belief system shifts. And that's when they start seeing opportunities. And, you know, if you go onto YouTube, for example, and see some of my videos there, and a lot of testimonials on YouTube of a lot of my clients and students, listen to how they paraphrase and how they talk. Because after being having the experience of creating joint ventures or learning about joint venture partnerships, you see how their mannerisms change, and you see how creative their brains get from getting really excited about creating joint venture partnerships.
Now, you mentioned that powerful platform, YouTube. Now, let's have a conversation about YouTube. Now, I know a couple of years back, Google bought YouTube for $1.6 billion. So video is hot right now. Can you explain to the audience the power of using video, and should entrepreneurs and business leaders use video to expand their brand?
Videos are great, not only for expanding the brain, but it basically, Jay Abraham talks about the strategy of preeminence, okay? A powerful strategy. And that is what videos do. So for example, I'll give you a great example. When I'm over in the US, I don't do as much speaking as I used to. I used to speak on very, very big stages. But when I'm over in the US and I meet people at a large event or a conference, before they've even actually met me in person, they feel like they already know me because of my videos. When they watch my videos, they have a connection. And when we meet, it's like we've known each other for years. So the power of video is absolutely phenomenal because it creates an emotional response. Things like, you know, TikTok, for example, are one of the biggest phenomenons right now because it creates that emotional response that people laugh, they cry, they feel warm, you know. So it creates an emotional response, and people make that connection when they see someone on video. So yeah, video is very, very powerful.
So once people like you, respect you, and they feel as though they know you, that's when their mind are made up and they want to invest in you because you are your brand.
100%. You know, people do business with people they like and trust, and video builds that likability and builds that trust also. So when it comes to creating content, I would say video is definitely the way forward.
Sohail, can you explain to the audience in your own influential way, what is the best advice that you have ever received?
That is a great question. Very good question. The greatest advice that I've ever received actually was from Tony Robbins. Okay, so I've spoken on stage a few times with Jarek. Jarek is Tony's son, so I know Jarek very well. I've met Tony a couple of times, and when I was speaking on stage, for example, many, many years ago in the internet marketing industry, there's a lot of shiny object syndrome. And I saw a lot of other speakers doing some really, really cool stuff. And I was like, wow, I wish I could do that also, and I could do that. So a brief conversation one time I had with Jarek, and Tony was there also. And I mentioned to Jarek that, hey, you know, I'm thinking of switching up and doing something different. I've been doing this JV stuff for quite a while, and I'm looking at this other area, and it seems to be an up-and-coming, growing area. And Tony said to me, look, he said to me, are you the best joint venture expert in the world right now? And I said, I'd say probably I'm number 2, number 3, maybe number 3. He said, well, don't stop. He goes, don't stop. Keep focusing on one thing, become a master at it. And only when you're a master and you're the number 1 joint venture expert in the world, then you can go on to something else. And, you know, lo and behold, today, I pretty much say I'm the number 1 joint venture expert in the world when it comes to what I do. Jay is still in the forefront. I say Jay Abraham is still right at the top of the ladder, and I'd say I'm pretty much just very, very close to Jay. Jay talks about a lot of things, business strategy, business growth, but I primarily just focus on joint venture partnerships and joint ventures. So I would pretty much say I'm nearly there.
Wow. Now, Jay Abraham, he's been on my show as well. And have you ever shared the stage with Jay Abraham in regards to
I have once, many, many years ago, yes.
Now, when he came on my platform, he basically talked about KPIs, key performance indicators. How do you feel about KPIs, and do you think they're very effective in today's economy?
I think they are. I mean, a lot of the corporate consulting that I used to do with Fortune 100 and 500 companies, we had to basically create KPIs, and KPIs are the indicators that we went by in terms of success, the success factors, basically. So yes, I'd say KPIs are very important.
Mm, wow. Now, let's talk about delegation. Now, I know the minimum wage of a millionaire is around $524 an hour. So I always tell my listeners, what can you delegate for $524 an hour? Or you can go way beyond that. What can you delegate that's within your current budget? How important it is for entrepreneurs and business owners to delegate tasks out that they're not currently good at so they can just focus on increasing their revenues and their businesses.
I think it's very important. For a long while when I first started, I was basically doing everything myself, and it was slowing me down. So
Mm-hmm.
I was literally being slowed down a lot from projects that weren't being completed, income that was stagnant. And when
Mm-hmm.
I started delegating some of the tasks that basically I shouldn't have been doing,
Mm-hmm.
my productivity went up and my turnover pretty much doubled. So yes, I'd say delegation is key.
Mm. Wow. Now, how do you feel about market growth versus market innovation?
That's a great question. One of the key factors for us going to eight figures very, very quickly was innovation. Okay, innovation is key. So, for example, with us, every few years we would innovate to keep ahead of the competition.
Mm,
Without innovation, I think there's no growth, right?
mm,
Typically and honestly,
mm,
market growth is great, but I take innovation over market growth any day because innovation will give you sustainability and it will
mm,
make you basically way far ahead than your competition. So you will be basically way ahead than your competition. Your competition will take years to catch up, and you'll always be ahead in that field. So I take innovation over market growth any day.
mm. Wow. Now, you pretty much is the joint venture expert, and you've been dominating that industry for many, many years now. From your own perspective, can you break down layman's terms what mistakes are you actually experiencing when entrepreneurs want instant gratification in their current business by doing joint venture brokering?
I think the thing you've got to really, really be careful of is partnering with the wrong people. That's
Mm,
one of the biggest mistakes that people make, and their reputation suffers,
mm,
and then they lose customers. So I
mm,
think you have to define first of all who your ideal partners are, right? Who is the ideal partner, or what do they look like, and also what's in it for you and what's in it for them. So define those factors first,
mm,
and then due diligence. Make sure you're always doing due diligence when you're dealing with partners because that's a factor that's very, very important. And like I've said, some of the things you can do due diligence wise is make sure that you see the list of satisfied customers and testimonials, and make sure that you can account for results that this product or service does what it's supposed to do, this information product or this person, the claims that are made actually stack up and actually do what they're supposed to be doing. So just I would say those are the things to watch out for. And those are the sort of mistakes that people make when they go into partnerships. And then they complain that the partnership didn't work, they had problems, they got ripped off, or they weren't paid, for example. That's because not enough due diligence was done to start off with.
mm. Wow. Now let's talk about the power of being an entrepreneur. Now the word entrepreneur means entreprendre. It was a Latin word. It was invented in the 15th century in France. And a gentleman by the
Cool.
name of John Baptist, he invented the word, and over 300 years later, that word still exists, which is entrepreneur. So entre means between, and ponder means to take. So it means to take lower productivity and increase it to higher productivity. Can you explain to the audience how are you increasing your productivity in your businesses?
Leverage again, it comes down to leverage. You got to find the leverage points. So
Mm,
I'm all about leverage, right? I'm all about spending the least amount of time to make the most amount of money, right? That's what I do. So I want to take the smart way, not the hard way. So I
mm,
try and figure out first of all what's making me money right now, what's always made me money. And I lost my focus a couple of years ago when I stopped doing that and I didn't focus on the things that were making money. Now, what happens is after a while, things become mundane and they become normal
mm,
because you're doing the same thing as repetition, right? But then you've got to think about it. That is the cornerstone of your business. So
mm,
you either bring in innovation and you bring and you basically improve upon what you have. Do not reinvent, okay? And
Mhm.
that's what that's what you don't want to be doing. So I'd say that's the answer there.
Now you mentioned that word repetition. So repetition is the mother of skill.
Yep.
Mm, wow. So, can you explain to the audience exactly where they can find you?
Yeah, sure. Several places. First of all, if anyone watching this right now is interested in getting access to all my joint venture programs for free, that's about $20,000 worth of JV training there. Go to jointventuremastermind.com and you can find all my courses there. You can get access to all my training, all my high level training worth over $20,000 for free when you join that joint venture mastermind at jointventuremastermind.com. Anyone interested in coming to one of my boot camps over in Las Vegas, go to brokeringbootcamp.com. You'll find all the details there. And if you want to find me online, just type in Sohail Khan, a JV expert over in LinkedIn, and you'll find me there. And Facebook is facebook.com/the JV guy. Otherwise, go to Google, just type in Joint Venture Expert, and you'll find all my videos there as well. And you're welcome to reach out to me whenever you want.
Now, Sohail, with your conferences that you basically hold in Vegas, is it a big group? Is it or is it a small group, or is it like a mastermind group?
It's like a mastermind group. So it's a very small group between 8 to 10 people. The reason I keep it that small is one, focus. Two, you get one-to-one time with me over 3 days. And number three, I love the mastermind environment. So we have a very small 8 to 10 people group. We do that 3 or 4 times a year. And you can go to brokeringbootcamp.com to find out more information about those boot camps in Las Vegas.
Mm. Now, the great Napoleon Hill said, whatever the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve. And I believe in brainstorming groups. How do you feel about brainstorming groups since your entrepreneurs and business owners formulate their own brainstorming groups so they can bring up one another during the process of expanding their business to the 500,000 or million or even a $10 million level?
I would say most definitely. I've been part of some great mastermind groups. I paid $25,000. I paid $50,000 for mastermind groups over the years to help me get to where I need to the next level. So
Mm-hmm.
brainstorming groups are great, and I think more people should be doing that. You don't have to be part of a high class mastermind. Just get some guys together who are operating at the same level that want to take their business to the next level, and invite those guys at the next level to come into those brainstorming groups. And I think that's a great idea.
Mm. Now, the most successful and wealthy people that actually run this country, they basically all have coaches. I mean, I know Donald Trump, he has a coach with his real estate deals. You get Warren Buffett, which his business partner is Charlie Munger, and they basically are value investors. How do you feel about entrepreneurs getting coached, but they got to have the right coach to basically elevate them so they can excel to the next level, but the accountability is going to fall in their hands, not their coaches.
I think it's a great idea. If you want to be successful in anything, go and find the people that have already been successful in that field. So, for
Mm,
example, with me, Jay Abraham's always been a mentor and coach to me because he's been successful in that field. Jay
mm,
Cohen Levinson's always been successful in marketing and business, and
mm,
that's one of my other coaches and one of my other mentors who sadly passed away in 2014. And that's basically, what you need to be doing. Go and learn from people who have already done it. That's the number one key that I would say, the number one advice that I give to anyone who wants to be successful in any game, not just in joint ventures and joint venture brokering, in any game. Find the person that's doing it right now very successfully and go and join their coaching or mentoring program.
mm. Now, Jay mentioned a whole lot about risk reversal. So, basically, if you believe in your product or your service or your information product, you should put a 30-day or 60-day or even a 90-day guarantee. I see a lot of entrepreneurs that's doing that, but I also see a lot of entrepreneurs that's selling products and services where they don't even have a guarantee. It's like if you purchase this product or service, it's no risk reversal. You just can't get your money back. How do you feel about that in regards to that business model?
I think that's a wrong business model because I've always been taught to put yourself in other people's shoes. So
Mm-hmm.
how would you feel if someone did that to you? How would you feel if someone sold you something and said, hey, you've never done this before. You don't have any experience in this. Buy it. use it and consume it. But you know what? If it doesn't work for you, that's not my problem.
Mm-hmm.
You know, think about it. So, you know, if that's the case, would you buy from that person? No. So I think everyone should really put themselves in the a customer and client's shoes and try and figure out exactly how the client and customer feels about it before creating any sort of business model. So that's what I think.
Mm. Now, I see a lot of entrepreneurs when they are at, live events, a lot of seminars. They do a lot of, cafeteria selling, where they may sell a low tier product, a mid tier product, and a high tier product. Should entrepreneurs and business owners that's in the speaking industry, well, that's a $7 billion industry, should they just have a low tier and a high tier product, or should they just have a high tier product so that way they won't give the audience any type of cafeteria selling in regards to choosing products and services that they want to be a part of?
Here's the thing, right? When it comes to products, it doesn't matter what the product is, as long as it creates results. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the main important thing really is as long as that product says what it does on the tin,
Mm-hmm.
that shouldn't be an issue, because I've spoken on stages for many, many years. I've seen other speakers speak on stages, bigger speakers than myself. And I would say it's all about results. As long as you can guarantee results, okay, or some sort of result. I'm not saying guarantee all the results, guarantee one result that people will get from investing in your program, okay, or whatever it is that you're selling, and do that. And if you can do that, then I wouldn't worry about anything else.
Mm. Wow. Now, when you was actually speaking on stages, and I know you spoke all over the world, when you actually finish your speech and people go to the back of the room and then they want to purchase your product or your service, or they want to go in depth with you with consulting or coaching, um let's say you have like 200 or 300 people. Out of 200, 300 people, do you get all of them rushing into the back to your product table, or maybe like 50% of the room that's really interested in wanting to basically do business with you?
See, the thing is, I do it differently. I cap the numbers for my programs.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't, you know, you could get a rush at the back of the table, but I
Mm-hmm.
would only have 15 people sign up to, let's say, for example, a $15,000 program, and I'm done. Because after 15, I can't take any more, because I can't physically maintain a mentoring situation with more than 15 people at a time. So for me, I always cap it. I never say, oh, you know, 100, I'll take 100 people, blah, blah, blah. No, my programs are very focused, so and quite unique as well. So I don't want everyone to have my program. So I always cap my program at around the 10, 15 mark, and that's it. Once 15 people have purchased, signed up at $15,000, then I'm pretty much done.
Mm. Now, a lot of entrepreneurs say that sales is the holy grail to basically scaling your business. How do you feel about entrepreneurs scaling their businesses, and should they have a blueprint on actually how to scale their business?
I think scaling is good, right? But it depends where you want to go.
Mhm.
Are you a one-man band? Do you want to become a team? Do you want to build an empire? So it really depends on the situation. You know, for me, for example, I've scaled several businesses and I've sold several businesses. Today, would I want to scale? Not really. I mean, I'm semi-retired. I enjoy doing a bit here and a bit there. You know, I have money in the bank, so I could scale, and people do approach me to become partners so they can scale, help me scale. And I'm like, dude, I've already scaled like 3 or 4 times in the past sort of 10 years, and I'm done with scaling. But I think, yeah, I think if someone's building a business and they want to, and they have an end goal, like they want to cash out, for example, then yes, scaling is the only way to do that. If you have a business that relies on organic traffic, at some point you're going to want to scale if you want to keep that business and keep running that business and growing that business. So yeah, I think scaling is very important.
Mm. So a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners in today's economy, they are experiencing liquidity in their businesses. And, a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners, some of them, they have hidden business assets in their business. And then they looking to, liquidate, some of their assets in regards to, being liquid with having access to cash. let's have a conversation about money. Now, I know money is not value. Money is just a facilitator to do transactions. Can you explain to the audience, how would you define money?
I think money is the same thing. It is basically it's just a tool, really. It's just a process also.
Hmm.
Money can be created. Like, for example, I always say to people, we can create money out of thin air by going out and doing joint venture deals. Okay. So it
Hmm.
really depends how people perceive money at the end of the day. What is it? It's an exchange of something, right? That's what money is when it comes down to it. What is it an exchange of? I mean, you can be brokering, you can be bartering, but then it comes down to understanding each individual's interpretation of actually what money is. Money isn't hard to come by. Money isn't hard to create. Holding on to money, that's the biggest mystery. Okay. So making money is easy. Okay. But holding on to the money is the challenge. So that's when you need to be more creative and you need to build your knowledge in terms of how to make that money into more money by learning about things like investing, for example, or buying new businesses or buying new assets. So I think it takes money over to the next level.
Mm. So money is a byproduct of the value that you can uncover.
Pretty much.
Mm. Wow. Now, how do you feel about the social media platforms? And we I know we're in the social media, digital age right now. And there's a lot of entrepreneurs that have digital assets. You got Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, even though Facebook owns Instagram. And you have LinkedIn, but LinkedIn is more for, people that are serious about scaling their business, or they really want to connect with people that are want to be the movers and shakers in their own industries. How do you feel about social media, and do you use a lot of social media platforms for your current businesses that you're currently in?
Someone asked me this question the other day on another interview, and they said, if there's one thing that got taken away from you and you couldn't survive without, what would that be? And I said, that would be the internet, right? Because of social media.
Mm-hmm.
Social media is a phenomenon. It is a free platform that allows you to create relationships, connections, networks, and even money, right? By leveraging social media as a platform to make money with your own business. So I would say I'm all for it when it comes to social media. A lot of the services that I provide to clients is social media based. So yeah, we use social media a lot, especially when we're going out and we're creating deals or going out to find JV partners. So yes, I'd big thumbs up to social media.
Mm. Now, do you use a lot of Facebook ads in regards to advertising for your company?
Not at all.
Mm-hmm.
Being a joint venture expert and doing joint ventures, we've never used Facebook ads for
Mm-hmm.
any of the stuff that we do in the joint venture world, because we are basically, one of the things that we put across to businesses is that we show you how to bring your ad costs down to zero by doing more joint venture partnerships. So we basically try and eliminate ad costs by doing more joint ventures.
Mm. Now, YouTube, eventually they basically are coming with a clause, within their platform in regards to censorship. And they're trying to get to the point where, they're trying to tell entrepreneurs and business owners or anybody that is publishing content to, be very careful and very selective of what you say. I don't really understand that concept, but how do you feel about, censorship if YouTube puts that into effect?
I think sooner or later it's going to happen, especially with things like fake news and what's happening around the world. I
Mm-hmm.
think some sort of censorship is going to be brought in to basically protect their users, right? A
Mm-hmm.
lot of their users are youngsters, they're teenagers, they're kids. So I think it's just something that they're going to bring in to protect their users. Really, I mean, that's one of the things that they want to make sure that it's being policed and it's being it's done in a way that protects the user. So it's something that can't be avoided, I'm afraid, especially with everything that happens nowadays on social media, especially and videos.
Mm-hmm.
So, but as long as you're an ethical business, I wouldn't worry about it.
Mm. Now, with YouTube, for people that have over 1,000 or, 1 million subscribers or even more, YouTube is willing to partner with you when you reach that certain level of success with subscribers, and then you have a chance to get checks from YouTube with getting that ad revenue. How do you feel about the ad revenue that YouTube is offering to people that publish content on their platform?
I think it's a great idea for people around the world to make money on YouTube
Mhm.
and to do something they enjoy and get paid for it. I'm
Mhm.
all for it. I think it's a great idea, and I think a lot of people who are doing it, they're having a great time, and they're enjoying what they do. And all they need is nowadays just a smartphone, and that's it. And you can get yourself on YouTube, build a channel, build authority, become an influencer, and make lots of money. So yeah, I'd say it's a great entrepreneurial thing to happen to people.
Mm. Yeah, you mentioned the power of using the cell phone, and it's over 7 billion cell phones on the planet. And before Steve Jobs passed away, he had $119 billion in the bank, cash liquid, because him and Steve Wozniak, they basically took that, Apple brand to a whole nother level. How do you feel about what they did within the 5-year span with the Apple brand? And did they use the power of leverage and the power of team building to expand that company to a whole nother level?
I think what they've done is they've invited people from the outside to become part of Apple. And what
Mm,
they did is they created these raving fans. People literally worship Apple. I mean, look at when these Apple stores, when they launch a new product, their launches are spectacular. You think the launches in the internet marketing industry are big. Apple's launches are huge. So when they do a launch, they get the buzz, people get excited, and they've just done really well. They've done really well, actually building a little cult. Actually, I'll call it not a little cult. It's probably actually a big cult of
mm,
Apple raving Apple fans. So yes, I think they've done very well with that.
mm. Wow. Now, ideas is the real capital of real wealth. How do you feel about people having a phenomenal idea and executing that idea to the next level? But do you have to have other people that see your vision to help you build that dream and make that dream become a reality?
I think you'd always need a team to implement, but you can also do that yourself. So you can always get started down the road by being the advocate and being the person that gets that domino falling. But I think, yes, I think you need to have a team with the same vision. You need to have partners with the same vision. And that way, yeah, you'll be very successful.
Mm. So, hell, I wrote down some powerful words, 10 being the highest and 1 being the lowest. So you can rate them in your own powerful way. Are you ready?
Cool. Yes.
Leverage,
One being the highest, yeah?
10 the highest, 1 the lowest.
Oh, sorry, 10 the highest. Okay, 10.
Speed of implementation,
I'd say that's quite important, so I'd give that a 7.
assets,
Definitely a 9.
liabilities,
Liabilities, you're always going to have liabilities up. I put that at 5.
family,
Family, I'd put up there somewhere, probably that'd be 8.
love,
Love is, oh, it's an interesting one. Love would be somewhere up. I mean, can I use this on the scale of 1 to 10? Can I use the same number twice?
mm-hmm.
Okay, good, fine. Yeah, love is important. I think love is an emotion, and it's something that keeps people motivated. So I'd put that up there, but I'd put that there in a 10.
God,
Number 10, always. Up on number 11.
marriage,
Marriage is important as well. It is a partnership, and I think finding the balance is something that's always going to be hard, especially when you're an entrepreneur. But I
mm-hmm.
think again, I'd put that up there in 10. Yeah,
Health,
health is a number 10 definitely. If you don't have health, then you don't have wealth. It's simple as that.
wealth,
Wealth also is up there. I'd put that up in. I'd put health number 10. I'd put wealth number 9. Health is actually more important than wealth. If you had to choose between a lot of money and living longer, you know which one you choose. Hopefully, living longer. So,
sales,
sales is important as well for any business. I think I'd put that at 10. You need to know how to sell. If you don't know how to sell, then you're pretty much doomed in the water.
joint ventures,
11.
marketing,
Marketing is important, but it's not as important as sales. I mean, you've got to know how to sell, right? So I think I'd put that just below sales.
reading,
Reading is important as well. I'd to put up at a 10. You know, if you've been reading since the age of like 3 or 4 or 5, there's no reason to stop reading. As you get older, you need to basically start expanding your knowledge, and you need to be getting more knowledge as much as you can to basically be very successful in this world. Yeah.
Knowledge.
Knowledge again is important. Number 10. Without knowledge, where would we be, right? How would we know to do the things that we do? So I think knowledge is very important.
Cash flow.
Cash flow, yes. Cash flow is important. Cash flow, without cash flow, your business is dead. So that's probably a number 9.
Eating healthy.
Eating healthy is important as well, but I would say eating healthy, but also eating what you enjoy. It's got to be a balance. That's going to be up in the 7 and 8.
Exercise.
That's very important. I think exercise for the body and the mind. I think especially if you're an entrepreneur and you're always under pressure, that I'd put that up at a 9.
Traveling.
Traveling is important. I think you need to expand the mind. I think traveling is good. I say to people, don't spend your time collecting material things. Spend your time collecting experiences. So traveling is up there around the 9, 10 mark.
Intellectual property.
IP is very important. There's lots you can do with it. I mean, it's something that if you have children, for example, you can pass that IP on to your kids, and that can become very, very useful to your family or to people you love. So IP is important. If you build IP, there's value in IP. So I'd put that up in 8, 9.
Selling.
Selling again comes down very similar to sales. I mean, having the ability to sell is something that I think every entrepreneur needs to have. So I'd say that's the number 10.
Confidence.
Confidence, again, very important. To be able to do business at the level that we do business at, you need to have that confidence. So that's up there in around the 9, 10 mark.
Value.
Value is huge. The only reason you're successful and you differentiate yourself from everyone else doing the same thing is by adding more value. So I'd say that's up in the 10.
All right, that was good. That was real
Thank
good,
you.
Sohail. Sohail, I love reading, and for some people, reading is a lost art today. Can you explain to the audience, what books do you like to read, and what books do you recommend for the audience to read?
I'm still an entrepreneur at heart. I love learning new things. I love reading case studies, for example. Some of the most successful books I've read are, for example, Jay Abraham's book, Getting Everything You Can Out of All You've Got. You've got The Psychology of Influence is probably another book that I'd recommend by Robert Cialdini. That's a really, really, really good book. And anything to do with selling, for example, Brian Tracy does some great books on that. So I would say a lot of the thought leaders, a lot of their books I read, for example. I read some great books in the past based on biographies as well. I love reading biographies about, entrepreneurs, for example, like Dale Carnegie, for example. One of his books was great. I read a lot about his background in terms of how he became successful, how he created this mastermind with some great industrialists. So yeah, those are the sort of books that I'd recommend.
Now, I mentioned earlier about Charlie Munger and billionaire Warren Buffett, and they basically build the Berkshire Hathaway
Yes,
brand.
Berkshire Hathaway. Yeah.
And they letting outside investors invest in their companies now, and then they hold an event once a year.
Yeah.
How do you feel
AGM.
about Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger being value investors?
I think they are. I think people they set the bar, right, and people follow them. So I think these guys are, they are the shining examples of people who are doing it really, really well, but doing it at such a level that other people can be inspired at that. So I think, yeah, hats off to them.
Wow. So, you basically wrote that phenomenal book with J. Conrad Levinson. Can you explain to the audience, do you get a lot of royalties from your book? And should people actually partner, with a big publishing company, or should they self-publish a book when they're just starting out as being a publisher?
I think publishing is great. Everyone needs to have a published book. I mean, that book's been responsible for millions of dollars in consulting with corporate companies. And I think everyone should have a book and, try and partner with someone who's well-known in the industry. I was very fortunate to have J. Conrad Levinson as one of my mentors. So I was very fortunate to have that book with him. Actually it was completed a couple of weeks before he passed away. So it was the last guerrilla marketing book by Jay. But yeah, I'd highly recommend everyone should once in a while author their own book.
Now, break down layman's terms for the audience that are not aware of this concept and it's proven. What exactly is guerrilla marketing?
Guerrilla marketing basically is a way of doing marketing that is basically outside of the box and unique. It's based on the guerrilla strategies, basically of of armies, sort of like in things that they do, under the ground strategies out of the box. So most of the guerrilla stuff is things that is not based on traditional marketing. It's based on basically out of the box marketing. So it's just quite unique marketing methods that you can use.
Now, did J. Conrad Levison, did he invented that powerful statement, guerrilla marketing?
I think the story goes that someone else had that term, and
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a woman who mentioned it at one of his lectures. He used to lecture at I think a university in California as
Mm-hmm.
a marketing lecturer, and I think that word was mentioned by one of his students, and he took that word on and he just formed it together to form guerrilla marketing. So I don't think he's the originator of the actual word guerrilla marketing, but
Mm-hmm.
he's the one that basically brought it out into the world. I think
Mm.
that's the story anyway. Yeah.
Now, for entrepreneurs and business owners that are generating revenue in their current companies, should they focus on building a business that they can eventually sell?
Oh, without a doubt. Always have an outcome in mind. When I speak to clients, for example, look, one of the things I do, I spend a day with a client. It's a VIP day I do. I'll fly wherever in the world the client is, and we spend a day. And one of the things I always say to them is, look, what's the outcome? What do you want from your business? You got to have an outcome. You got to work backwards from what you want. I think every owner should have an exit plan. So yes, I think definitely yes.
Mm. And once they have a proper business, they can sell. I mean, they can basically sell that company for, 4 or 5 times its multiple.
Without a doubt, yes. And if they get investment in the company, then the multiple it actually increases. So it increases substantially.
Mm. Wow. Jay, I re- Jay was a powerful, powerful individual, but Sohail, you are actually the real deal. And whole premise of you coming on my show is to educate entrepreneurs and business leaders that they can have the life that they truly desire, but they have to be open to these important principles. So I don't like what I see what's on the news, so I create my own news.
Yes, without a doubt.
Mm. Sohail, do you have any last pearls of wisdom for the audience?
Good question. I would say to everyone, don't give up. Okay, be persistent in your goal, whatever it is in life and in business, and find someone that can help you complete that goal. It's very difficult to do things on your own, and I think you know, be in the right environment, be with those people who will support you, be around the people that will get you to where you need to get to. And you can do that. I mean, wherever you are in the world, you can do that. So I'd say, whatever your dreams and ambitions are and your goals, go for it.
Mm. Wow. And before we sign off, can you explain one more time, Sohail, exactly where they can find you and how they can connect with you?
Okay, thanks. Again, if you want access to all my joint venture programs, my high level programs, $20,000 worth of programs for free, go over to jointventuremastermind.com and you get access to all those courses for free when you sign up to my joint venture mastermind at jointventuremastermind.com. If you want to learn more about my 3-day JV broker boot camps in Vegas that I do 3 or 4 times a year, go to brokeringbootcamp.com. And if you want to find me on any social media platforms, just go to Google, type in Sohail Khan, JV Expert, and everything will be there. You can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube.
Mm. Sohail, I'd like to thank you once again for taking time out of your busy schedule to educate the audience worldwide about the power of joint venture marketing and about the power of joint venture partnering. I gladly appreciate it. You are a gift from God.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
To everyone that's listening and watching, I highly recommend get involved with the phenomenal Sohail Khan. You heard the passion that came through his voice on my show today. He broke down layman's terms about the power of joint venture marketing and the power of joint venture partnering, and basically how you can build a business that you can sell for a lot of money, and also develop the belief system that you can do it and that you will succeed by leveraging the power of joint ventures. So to everyone that's listening and watching right now, remember that the strongest asset that each and every one of you have is your brain, and what you think about and what you take action on, that will become your reality, and your mentality creates your reality. May God bless each and every one of you, and bye for now. Thank you, Sohail. Come. I really
Thank you.
appreciate it. Have a pleasant day, everyone.
Cool.